My hands shake uncontrollably as my phone slips from my grip, clattering onto the hardwood floor of my apartment. I barely register the client's voice still coming through the speaker as I stare in horror at the silk blouse in my hands. A deep burgundy stain spreads across the pristine cream fabric like blood seeping through bandages. "Nora, are you still there? We need to confirm the styling details for today's shoot." The tiny voice from my fallen phone sounds distant, unimportant compared to the catastrophe in my hands. I sink to my knees, not trusting my legs to support me. This blouse was the centerpiece of today's carefully curated outfit for influencer Madeleine Chen's campaign, a shoot worth thousands in potential future bookings. The entire ensemble had been hanging in my closet last night, protected in garment bags, perfectly steamed and ready for today. Until Vivian borrowed it. The apartment door swings open, and my sister breezes in, tossing her designer purse onto my sofa. Her eyes flick to the stained blouse in my hands, then away, dismissively. "It's just a little stain. Can't you fix it?" Vivian shrugs, heading straight for my refrigerator as if she hasn't just torpedoed my career. The realization hits me like a physical blow. This isn't simply my little sister borrowing clothes without asking. This is sabotage. I remember last Sunday's family dinner with painful clarity. The table had been set with Mom's good china, the set she only brings out for special occasions. I'd waited until dessert to share my news. "I landed the Madeleine Chen contract," I'd announced, unable to contain my smile. "She's the biggest influencer I've styled yet. If this campaign goes well, it could open doors to major fashion houses." Mom nodded absently while Dad cut another slice of apple pie. Their eyes had immediately shifted to Vivian, who'd chosen that exact moment to share stories about her latest college party. That fraternity president was totally flirting with me. Vivian had gushed, twirling her fork. "I need something special to wear to his party this weekend." No one had mentioned my announcement again. Now, as I clutch the ruined blouse, the connection becomes crystal clear. "This isn't just a stain, Vivian." My voice sounds unfamiliar, steadier than I feel. "This is a $300 silk blouse that was part of a carefully planned styling session happening in..." I glance at my watch. 3 hours. Vivian's face crumples instantly. Her eyes fill with tears that seem to materialize on command. "It was an accident," she wails. "Why are you always so mean to me? I just wanted to look nice for once." I take a deep breath, refusing to be derailed by the familiar performance. With deliberate movements, I walk to my desk and pull out a folder, opening it to reveal neatly organized receipts. "This blouse, $300. The skirt you also borrowed, which now has a torn hem, $250. The belt with the scuff marks, $175. I lay each receipt on the counter between us like playing cards. This isn't about being mean. This is about my livelihood. Vivian's sobs grow louder, precisely calibrated to carry through the apartment walls. Right on cue, our parents burst through the door without knocking. Mom rushes to Vivian's side while Dad stands with his arms crossed, frowning at me. "What's going on here?" Dad demands, though his tone makes it clear he's already decided who's at fault. "Nora's being horrible." Vivian cries into Mom's shoulder. "It was just an accident." I hold up the stained blouse, my Exhibit A. "She took this without permission for a party last night. I need it for a client shoot today." Mom pats Vivian's hair. "Honey, I'm sure Nora has other clothes she can use. You're overreacting, as usual." Overreacting? The word feels like a slap. This is my job. My professional reputation depends on being prepared and reliable. Dad sighs heavily. "This is why you'll never keep clients, Nora. You're too rigid. It's just clothes." Just clothes. Just my career. Just my future. I look at their 3 faces, Vivian's tears already drying now that reinforcements have arrived, Mom's dismissive concern, Dad's impatience, and realize with absolute clarity that nothing I say will matter. In their eyes, I will always be the unreasonable one for expecting basic respect. The client's voice, still coming from my phone on the floor, suddenly reminds me that I have more immediate problems than my family's opinion of me. I have exactly 2 hours and 45 minutes to salvage what's left of my professional reputation. After I barely managed to solve the issues with the client, I came back to my apartment. After I took a shower, I tried to relax a bit, but unsuccessfully. I stare at my phone screen, my thumb frozen mid-scroll. The bright rectangle illuminates my face in the darkness of my apartment. It's 3 in the morning, And sleep has abandoned me after today's disaster with the stained blouse and cancelled shoot. No, I whisper, the word escaping like air from a punctured tire. There on Instagram is Vivian, draped across a fraternity couch in my emerald jumpsuit, the one I'd selected for next week's athleisure campaign. Red Solo cups litter the background. Her caption reads, "Friday night vibes, styled by my sis." I scroll down. Another post from last weekend. Vivian at a rooftop bar wearing my vintage Gucci blouse, paired with cut-off shorts that completely undermine the piece's elegance. Same hashtag. And another from 3 weeks ago. And another. My stomach twists as I tap through to her profile and see dozens of similar posts stretching back months. Each one showcasing my carefully curated professional items, each one tagged as if I deliberately styled her for beer pong tournaments and fraternity mixers. My phone buzzes with an email notification that night. The subject line punches me in the chest. Campaign cancellation. Refund request. The designer whose athleisure line I was scheduled to style next week has seen Vivian's posts. She's requesting a partial refund and informing me she'll be working with a more professional stylist whose brand aesthetic aligns with our premium positioning. This isn't happening, I mutter, but the evidence glows accusingly from my screen. The next morning, I drive to my grandmother, Eleanor's Tudor-style cottage in Pasadena. The only place I can think clearly anymore. The only family member who might actually listen. "Come in, darling," Eleanor says, her voice soft but steady. At 82, she moves slowly, but her eyes miss nothing. I sink into the floral armchair beside her favorite spot on the sofa, where sunlight warms the faded upholstery. The house smells of lemon furniture, polish, and fresh coffee. "Tell me," she says simply. I've barely finished explaining when the front door opens without a knock. My mother sweeps in, followed by my father and Vivian. "There you are," Mom says, as if I'm a misplaced handbag she's been searching for. "We've been calling all morning." They remain standing while I sit beside Eleanor. My grandmother's hand finds mine, her paper-thin skin cool against my palm. "Nora's upset about some clothing," Dad explains to Eleanor, his tone suggesting he's humoring an unreasonable child. "We came to sort it out. I discovered Vivian has been taking my professional wardrobe pieces for months," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "She's been posting them on Instagram, tagged as if I styled her for parties." "Oh, please," Vivian rolls her eyes. "You should thank me for the exposure." "Exposure?" The word scrapes my throat. My client canceled their campaign last night because their luxury athleisure line was photographed at a keg stand competition. Mom sighs. "Nora, you've always been so possessive. Sisters share clothes." "These aren't clothes, they're business inventory." I hold up my phone, displaying the cancellation email. "This is my career." "Well," Dad shifts his weight, looking everywhere but at me. "Maybe if you had locked your room." "I did lock my room," I interrupt. "How did she get in?" A moment of uncomfortable silence falls. "I might have given her the spare key," Dad finally admits. "Just for emergencies." The betrayal lands like a physical blow. "You gave her a key to my room? Without telling me?" "You're always so dramatic," Vivian says with a dismissive wave. "It's not like I stole anything. I always returned them." "Returned them damaged," I correct her. "Stained, torn, stretched out." Mom's lips tighten. "Well, I knew she borrowed things occasionally, but I thought you were aware." The cascade of betrayals leaves me breathless. Not just Vivian, but my parents too. All of them, conspiring against my simple request for respect. "You know what this means, right?" I look at each of their faces. "I can't trust any of you. Not with my property, not with my career, not with anything that matters to me." "Now you're just being ridiculous," Mom says. My phone buzzes again. Another email. Another client, expressing concerns about recent social media content and reconsidering our working relationship. I show them the screen. "This is what your occasional borrowing has done. 2 canceled contracts in less than 24 hours. Months of work, thousands in potential income, gone." For a brief moment, something like guilt flickers across my father's face, but Vivian whispers something to him, and it vanishes. "Maybe styling isn't really your thing," Dad suggests. "Your cousin Rachel is doing well in real estate. Maybe you should—" "Stop!" Eleanor's voice cuts through the room like a blade, surprising everyone. "Nora has built something valuable. Something worth protecting. If you can't see that, Perhaps you should leave." They depart in a flutter of half-hearted apologies and promises to talk later. I remain in the armchair, staring at the growing list of professional consequences on my phone. 3 years of networking and portfolio building, crumbling because my family couldn't respect a simple boundary. "I should leave LA," I whisper to Eleanor when we're alone. "Start over somewhere. Portland, maybe. Or Chicago." Eleanor reaches into her cardigan pocket and pulls out a small envelope. "Before you decide anything, take this." Inside is cash exactly enough to cover the refund the first client requested. "Grandma, I can't." "You can and you will," she says firmly. "This isn't charity. It's an investment in someone who deserves a fighting chance." As I drive home that evening, I wonder if I should confront my family directly with all the evidence I've gathered, or simply withdraw and protect what remains of my career. The satisfaction of finally making them see the truth tempts me, but would it change anything? Or just give them another chance to dismiss me? Sunday dinners have become battlegrounds. I sit at my parents' dining table, watching Vivian twirl the diamond ring on her finger, catching light with every dramatic gesture. "We're thinking June for the wedding," she announces, her voice rising with practiced excitement. "Mom, Dad, I'll need your help with the venue deposit." They nod in unison, already reaching for their wallets in spirit if not in action. Then Vivian's eyes lock on me, calculating. "Nora, I'll need to borrow your industry contacts for the planning. That wedding dress designer you worked with last month? And the florist from the Harper campaign?" My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. Those connections took me years to build, each relationship carefully nurtured through consistent professionalism. "Those are business relationships, Vivian, not friends I can just—" "Oh, don't be selfish," Mom interrupts, patting my hand like I'm a child refusing to share toys. "Your sister is getting married." Dad leans forward, his voice dropping into what he considers his reasonable tone. "We've already told Vivian you'd handle her styling for the engagement photos and wedding. Our gift to her." The room tilts slightly. "You offered my professional services without asking me? I have paying clients scheduled months ahead." Vivian's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Family comes first, right?" I discover the full extent of the damage 3 days later on Wednesday, when my phone buzzes with a text from Claudia, a photographer I've collaborated with on major campaigns. "Just got a call from your sister. Excited to work on your joint wedding project. Didn't know you were expanding into wedding planning." My stomach drops. 5 more messages arrive throughout the day, all from industry contacts, all thanking me for the referrals to my partnership with Vivian, contacts I've never given her. The breaking point comes Thursday when I return home early from a canceled client meeting. My apartment door stands slightly ajar, though I distinctly remember locking it. Inside, drawers hang open, my closet doors yawning wide. An empty hanger dangles where my new emerald blazer, the one I'd planned for tomorrow's magazine shoot, had been carefully stored. I check my security camera footage, the one I installed after the 3rd borrowing incident. Vivian waltzes in using a key I never gave her, heading straight for my closet with the confidence of someone entitled to whatever she finds. In days to come, sleep becomes impossible without checking locks twice, then 3 times. I wake in cold sweats, certain someone's going through my things. The 3rd night I bolt upright at 3 a.m., heart pounding, convinced I heard my door opening. It takes 30 minutes of sitting with my back against the wall before I accept it was just the building settling. I start photographing my apartment each morning before leaving wide shots of closets, drawers, jewelry boxes. Evidence of what was where. The locksmith charges extra for the reinforced deadbolt, but I pay without hesitation. During this time, Mark notices the change immediately. "You're jumping at shadows," he says one evening as I flinch at a neighbor's door closing. "This isn't healthy, Nora." "It's not paranoia if they're really taking your things," I mutter, checking my lock for the 3rd time that night. The next evening, Mark takes me to dinner at our favorite spot overlooking the harbor. The sunset paints the water copper and gold as he reaches across the table for my hand. "I may not be able to give you much," he says, sliding a simple silver band with a modest diamond onto my finger, "but I promise I'll never take what's yours." For the first time in months, laughter bubbles up from somewhere deep inside me, genuine, unexpected joy that feels almost foreign. 3 days later at family brunch on Wednesday, I arrive with Mark beside me, our hands interlocked, his thumb occasionally brushing reassuringly against my ring. "We have news," I announce after the obligatory small talk exhausts itself. "Mark and I are engaged." The silence stretches until Mom manages a tight smile. That's sudden. Vivian's face flushes, her eyes narrowing. You're stealing my thunder. Couldn't you have waited until after my wedding? The old Nora would have apologized immediately, offered to keep it quiet, maybe even remove the ring in Vivian's presence. But something has shifted inside me, a tectonic plate finding new alignment. I've waited my entire life, I say, my voice steady. I'm done waiting. For once, no one has a ready response. In their stunned silence, I feel something unfamiliar, the weightlessness of standing firm without guilt. The following Saturday, Mark helps me load 3 suitcases into his truck. Each contains pieces I can't risk losing: vintage designer items I've collected, accessories for upcoming client sessions, the ivory silk blouse I plan to wear for my own wedding. Eleanor meets us at the storage facility, her silver hair catching sunlight as she hugs me fiercely. About time, she whispers, pressing a small velvet box into my hand. Inside nestles her mother's sapphire earrings. For your wedding day, not for sharing. Mark programs the security code while Eleanor helps me arrange my treasures. Unlike my family's frustrated demands for access, these two celebrate the walls I'm building not to keep them out, but to keep myself intact. That evening, I face my mother on a video call, maintaining eye contact as I decline her request to borrow my apartment for Vivian's bridal shower. No, I say, without justification or apology. The word feels strange in my mouth, simple, complete, powerful. I book our wedding venue the next morning, selecting a date 2 months away, 3 months before Vivian's elaborate June plans. The deposit clears my account immediately, a commitment in digital form. Eleanor calls that afternoon. I'd like you to have my grandmother's pearl necklace for your wedding, she says. It's always been meant for you. As I hang up, my phone buzzes with a text from Vivian. Need to come see your wedding dress options. What time works? I stare at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard, feeling the familiar tug of obligation battling with my newfound boundaries. 2 weeks later, I count the hangers one last time, my fingers tracing each fabric with quiet precision. The ivory silk gown with its subtle beading hangs in the center of the rack, flanked by my reception dress, a more playful champagne number with vintage lace details, and the sapphire blue cocktail dress for the rehearsal dinner. Each piece represents hours of careful selection, each safely stored away from prying fingers. Everything still looks perfect, Nora, Elizabeth says, locking the private dressing room with a small brass key. The boutique owner slips it into my palm with a conspiratorial wink. No one touches these without your express permission. Not family, not friends, no one. I exhale slowly, feeling my shoulders drop an inch. Thank you. I know it seems excessive, but... Not excessive at all, Elizabeth interrupts, her voice warm but firm. Your wedding day belongs to you and Mark, period. As we walk toward the front of the shop, I mentally review the rest of my secret inventory. Grandmother Eleanor's pearl earrings and matching necklace, safely deposited in the boutique's small vault. The vintage hairpin Mark found at an antique shop. Even my wedding shoes, stored in their original box high on a shelf in Elizabeth's office. For the first time in weeks, I feel something close to peace. My wedding items remain untouched, unknown to my family, protected from Vivian's borrowing and my parents' enabling. The knot of anxiety that's lived between my shoulder blades since my engagement loosens slightly. When my phone buzzes, I already know who it is before I check the screen. Nora, I'm here at Elegance Bridal. Vivian's voice bubbles through the phone with artificial cheer. Surprise! I figured we could look at your dress options together since you helped me pick out mine. My stomach drops as I lock eyes with Elizabeth. Vivian, I'm coming inside now. See you in 2 seconds. The bell above the door jingles cheerfully as my sister sweeps in, all bouncy curls and predatory smile. She air kisses my cheeks before pivoting toward Elizabeth. Hi there. I'm Vivian, the sister and maid of honor, she announces, though I've never asked her to be in my wedding party. I need to see what Nora's considering. She needs someone with a good eye. Elizabeth's professional smile never wavers. How lovely to meet you. I'm Elizabeth, the owner. She gestures toward a plush velvet settee. Please make yourself comfortable. Would you like some champagne while your sister tries on her gown? Gowns, plural, Vivian corrects, settling onto the couch. I want to see all the options. I'm afraid Nora has already made her selection, Elizabeth says, her tone pleasantly immovable. We're just doing a final fitting on her ceremony gown today. Vivian's smile falters. But what about reception dresses? Surely she needs my input before finalizing anything. The entire wedding ensemble has been chosen, Elizabeth says, gesturing toward the main fitting room, the public one, not the private room where my actual dresses hang. Nora, shall we? I follow Elizabeth, feeling Vivian's stare burning between my shoulder blades. Inside, the fitting room hangs a single gown, the decoy dress we prepared for precisely this scenario. It's beautiful but deliberately different from my actual selection, lacking the delicate beadwork I fell in love with. 20 minutes later, I stand on the pedestal in the three-way mirror, watching Vivian's reflection as she circles me. It's fine, she says finally, disappointment evident in her voice. But don't you think it's a bit plain? Maybe I could loan you my crystal hair clips. They'd add some needed sparkle. The dress is perfect as is, I reply, meeting her eyes in the mirror. Well, what about your reception look? Something more fun, right? She flips through her phone, showing me pictures of glittery mini dresses. I found these amazing options. We're practically the same size. I could try them on for you. That won't be necessary, Elizabeth interjects smoothly. The reception ensemble is already finalized and in production. Vivian's face flushes. Production? So there's no way to change it now? None at all, I confirm, suppressing a smile. Her voice rises sharply. You should have consulted me. What kind of sister makes these decisions alone? You know fashion isn't your strongest suit, Nora. Elizabeth's eyebrows lift slightly at the insult to her client, a professional stylist, but she says nothing. My strongest suit is actually knowing exactly what I want. I reply calmly. And what I don't want. Vivian's tantrum escalates quickly. She demands to see alternative options, insists on speaking to other staff members, and finally declares the entire boutique overpriced and underwhelming. 3 other brides to be watched with widened eyes as my sister storms out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the crystal chandelier. When she's gone, I sink onto the fitting room bench, hands trembling slightly. I should call and smooth things over, I murmur, reaching for my phone. For family peace. But my finger hovers over Vivian's contact. My wedding dress, my actual dress, hangs safely in its private room. My reception outfit remains unseen and untouched. My jewelry waits securely in the vault. When Vivian stormed out of the boutique, I wondered if I should call and smooth things over for family peace, or hold firm to my boundaries for the first time in my life. Was family harmony worth sacrificing my special day? Later that evening, Mark calls with news that makes my decision easier. It's all set, he says, his voice warm with pride. I spoke with the venue's security team. They have clear instructions about who can enter which areas and when. No unauthorized visits to the bridal suite, no exceptions for family who just want to help. I curl deeper into my couch, feeling something unfamiliar bloom in my chest. Protection. Safety. My grandmother called too, after I finished everything. I tell him. She's bringing the family photo albums to the rehearsal dinner. The ones showing all the birthday parties where Vivian blew out your candles? I nod, though he can't see me. And all the graduation photos where I'm in the background while Vivian's front and center. She says it's time everyone sees the pattern. The unfamiliar feeling expands. For the first time in my life, someone is standing up for me instead of asking me to stand down. My phone pings with a text from my mother. Instead of her usual demands, she asks if I'd like to have coffee next week to hear more about your wedding plans. No mention of Vivian's boutique meltdown. No criticism of my choices. An hour later, a small package arrives, a congratulations card with Vivian's looping signature and a pair of earrings inside. They're chunky gold hoops, nothing like my usual style, and would overwhelm my wedding dress completely. But it's the first gift she's ever given that wasn't actually for herself. I mark the family dinner, the pre-wedding dinner on my calendar, the final test. But for once, I'm not dreading it. Whatever happens, my wedding clothes remain safe, my plans secure. For once in my life, I've protected what matters to me. I just hope I can protect my heart just as effectively. When the pre-wedding dinner arrives, I smooth the tablecloth at Eleanor's dining room, arranging the crystal water glasses just so. The pre-wedding dinner feels like the final battlefield, one where I've already planted my defenses. Mark squeezes my hand under the table as my parents and Vivian arrive 15 minutes late. Sorry, traffic was awful, Mom says, kissing my cheek. Her eyes scan the table settings, lingering on the small velvet box near my place setting. Vivian swoops in, hugging me with the enthusiasm of a politician at a fundraiser. There's my sister, the bride. Her gaze locks onto the jewelry box. What's that? Wedding jewelry. I keep my voice light, casual. Eleanor gave me her sapphire earrings as my something blue. Can I see? Without waiting for permission, Vivian flips open the box and lifts out the delicate earrings that catch the light in flashes of deep blue. These would look fantastic with my bridesmaid dress. My stomach tightens, but I've prepared for this moment. They're quite special. Try them on, Vivian, Dad encourages with a proud smile. See how they look. Mom laughs nervously as Vivian immediately removes her own earrings and puts on Eleanor's heirlooms. They match your eyes perfectly, honey. These look better on me than they would on you, Vivian declares, turning to examine her reflection in the dining room mirror. Don't you think, Mom? Well, they are lovely with your coloring, Mom agrees. Eleanor's fingers tighten around her water glass, knuckles whitening. I catch her eye and give her a slight nod. We rehearsed this. Actually, Vivian says, twirling to face me. I was thinking, your reception dress, the ivory one with the beading, would be perfect for me to change into for the final hour of your wedding, and these earrings would complete the look. The room falls silent. Even my parents seem to recognize she's overplayed her hand. Just to make your special day even more special, Vivian adds, her voice honeyed with false sincerity. We could do sister photos in matching dresses. I take a sip of water, letting the moment stretch. That's such an interesting idea, Vivian. Her face brightens with anticipated victory. But unfortunately, all my wedding items are already secured at Elizabeth's boutique. I smile pleasantly. They're under lock and key until the morning of the ceremony. What? Why would you do that? Vivian's hand flies to her throat, fingers brushing Eleanor's earrings that still dangle from her ears. Precautionary measures. I reach for my phone and pull up a folder labeled evidence. I've learned from experience. I turn the screen toward them all, scrolling slowly through photos. My cream blouse with the wine stain, the designer skirt with the torn hem, my favorite purse with the broken strap. Each image is dated, with the original receipt attached. These are all items that were borrowed without permission and returned damaged. My voice remains steady. Given the pattern, Elizabeth agreed to store everything related to the wedding. Mom fidgets with her napkin. Nora, this seems extreme. Vivian would be careful with your things. History suggests otherwise. I look directly at Vivian. My wedding day is about celebrating my love with Mark. It's the one day that isn't about making room for someone else. Vivian yanks off the earrings, tossing them onto the table. You've always been so selfish. Actually, Eleanor interjects, her voice quavering but determined. I have something to show you all. She slides a weathered photo album across the table. I hadn't expected this part. Eleanor opens to a page showing a young girl in a ballet recital costume. This was Nora's first solo performance. Her costume disappeared the morning of the show. She flips to another page, and here's Vivian wearing it as a Halloween costume 3 years later. Dad shifts uncomfortably. Girls share things in families. Not when one never consents. Eleanor counters, turning more pages: a high school graduation watch, a prom dress, textbooks with Nora's name still written inside. This pattern started long before adult clothing. I stand up and walk to the corner of the living room, returning with a cardboard box. These are the childhood items you gave to Vivian without asking me. I set it on the floor between us. My science fair trophies, my first edition books, the quilt Grandma made for me. Mom's face drains of color. We thought you didn't want those anymore. You never asked. I sit back down, folding my hands in my lap. I'm not asking permission anymore. I'm telling you how things will be. The silence stretches, broken only by the gentle tick of Eleanor's mantel clock. Dad clears his throat. Let's just have dinner and talk about something else. We make it through the meal with strained conversation about neutral topics. As they leave, I overhear Vivian hissing at Mom in the driveway. If she gets all that, I want the same things, better things. 3 days passed with no word from my family. The wedding is on Saturday, and I still don't know if they'll attend. This morning, I found a small envelope tucked under my windshield wiper. Inside is a handwritten note from Eleanor. "I've made changes to reflect who truly values family." I read it twice, wondering what changes my grandmother could possibly mean, and whether they'll heal the fractures or deepen them beyond repair. On the wedding day, I stand before the full-length mirror in the bridal suite, barely recognizing the woman reflected back at me. My wedding gown, pristine and untouched, drapes perfectly across my frame. No wine stains, no torn hems, no evidence of someone else's carelessness marring what should be mine alone. "You look stunning," Elizabeth, the boutique owner, adjusts my veil with gentle hands. For the first time in years, I'm not anxiously scanning the room, mentally cataloging my belongings, calculating the risk of what might disappear. The constant knot of tension between my shoulder blades has finally loosened. I take a deep breath and smile, not the careful, measured smile I've perfected for clients, but something genuine that reaches my eyes. It's almost time. My friend Jenna announces, peeking through the doorway. Mark looks like he might pass out from happiness. Walking down the aisle, I feel weightless. The small gathering of guests rises as the music swells. No Vivian, no parents. Their absence creates space rather than emptiness. Instead, the church holds people who've proven their love through respect, colleagues who value my work, friends who ask before borrowing, and Eleanor, resplendent in her vintage blue dress, beaming from the front row. Mark's eyes shine with tears as he takes my hands. His whispered, "You're beautiful," isn't about the dress or the carefully styled hair. It's about seeing me fully present, unguarded, finally comfortable in my own skin. At the reception, Eleanor helps me change into my second dress, a simpler design, perfect for dancing. The fabric rustles as it settles around me, feeling like armor and freedom simultaneously. "Your cousin Rachel was asking if she could borrow this dress for her anniversary dinner next month," Eleanor mentions, smoothing the silk. 6 months ago, I would have hesitated, offered explanations, felt guilty for refusing. Today, I simply say, no. The word hangs in the air, complete without justification or apology. Eleanor smiles, pride radiating from her weathered face. Good girl. The reception unfolds in a blur of genuine celebration. Our small gathering feels abundant rather than lacking. Mark leads me in our first dance, his steps sure and steady as always. Later, he raises his glass for a toast, his voice carrying across the intimate space. "To my beautiful wife, thank you for showing me what true partnership means, where we each shine brighter, not dimmer, together." 3 months later, I unlock the door to our new home, 2 states away from my parents' influence. The moving truck won't arrive until tomorrow, but I carry one precious item in my arms, a framed photograph of me in my reception dress, radiant with newfound confidence. Mark hangs it carefully in our empty living room. I run my fingers over the simple label at the bottom of the frame, "Not for borrowing." Eleanor arrives the following week, having sold her house to move closer to us. My styling business has already secured 3 new clients in this city where no one questions my credentials or compares me to my sister. As I arrange our growing home, sorting through what we've chosen to bring forward into this next chapter, a question surfaces in my mind. Perhaps true family isn't something you're born into, but something you build deliberately, with intention and care. Should I keep trying to heal relationships that consistently hurt me, or focus on nurturing the ones that help me grow? What would you choose? The family you were given, or the family you create? The answer hangs in our hallway, captured in that simple framed photograph, a reminder that sometimes the bravest choice is to preserve what's precious by saying no to those who cannot respect its value.